Hey everybody. So happy New Year's Eve. Praise God, we are at the last day of 2022. So we're back for a review of Love and Marriage Huntsville reunion season 4, 5, 4 and 5. What child? Anyway, that's what we're back for. Please be sure to like and subscribe as I try to grow my channel. All right. So we'll begin at the beginning. Okay. Did y'all see the way Miss Wanda entered the building when they were getting ready for the I said, baby, she is too extra for me. Oh my gosh. Girl, go sit in a rocking chair act like somebody's grandmother. All right. So I'm trying to figure out still, are we having a reunion for season 4 or season 5 or both? Because I need clarity. Because y'all taking me back to scenes that I thought happened a long time ago and the timeline isn't clear. And so therefore, my reaction, my anger, or anything else, I'm just not I'm not feeling this confusion. All right. So Carlos King is going around to each dressing room being messy, stirring up foolishness. And he goes to Martell's room and he asks if Sheree was on the phone. And Sheree was on the phone. And I guess she still knows him, because she was a Real Housewives of Atlanta back when he was a producer of that. So he just in there being nosy. Then we see them all start to come out to the stage. Mel was serving looks. I have to say, I'm glad we got to see her whole dress before she sat down, because for the most part, that's all we see them do is sit down. But that dress was cute. It was cute with her standing up. Maurice and Kimmy come out to the stage first. Kimmy, once again, stays serving. I think it worked for her. I was glad to see her. I guess we'll find out more about her medical situation. Once again, prayers up for Kimmy. Was Carlos calling Tisha Diana Ross and saying, "Come on, Supreme"? Was that a compliment or a read? Because it wasn't really giving Supreme Motown, elegant black woman of the 1960s for me. It just was not. It was not, and it kind of seemed like a read, but okay. So Carlos introduced Melody coming to the stage and says Melody Cherie, and Martell finished it by saying, "Halt, halt." First of all, sir, I already don't like you. Okay? I already think you're emotionally abusive and manipulative. All right, she is not your wife anymore. Okay? And if she was still using her name, she did Melody Cherie to distance herself from you. And if she was still using the last name Holt, trust me, Martell will be weaponizing that against her. Oh, she can't do nothing without me. If it wasn't for me, she wouldn't have this. Miss me with the bullshit, Martell, and your tight ass suits. Next. So they started off giving us clips of their businesses and their hard work and trying to compliment them about their accomplishments, which is clearly trying to be a cleanup for all the mess that goes on. So when Carlos said, I think, all of you, despite the drama, are all really proud of each other, everybody clapped except me. And Carlos leaned over and tried to make Mel clap. Mel was not moving. And she was like, well, last reunion, I said how proud I was of everybody, and it never aired. And it never aired. She said that shit like 2, 3 times, which I think was a dig to Carlos King and production and everybody else for the way they're trying to make her look. Right. And so we can talk about, oh, well, the way they gang up on Melody, Melody needs to leave the show. I'm going to tell y'all right now, Melody is that Jenga piece that everything else will fall apart. Because even as I watch them beat up on her and it makes me uncomfortable, and I really wish Mel a lot of success. I'm not saying I agree with everything I see her do or her all her attitude behavior, but the bottom line is I think Mel has shown growth. I think she is a good mother. I think she has managed to handle a lot of stuff in the public eye that only somebody who is praying to Jesus Christ could manage and still keep their head. But what I am saying is that they're constantly throwing these daggers at her. If she disappears, everybody else is boring and irrelevant. It's the same old shit. Mel's the type of conversation, even when she's trying to mind her business on her show. Anyway, so Maurice claims he's proud of everybody. And Mel calls him out and says, Maurice is always giving them Martin Luther King speeches. First of all, Mel, pull back. Because Martin Luther King is a prophet. God rest his soul. Gave plenty of speeches. And did plenty of work around destroying racism capitalism and militarism. And Maurice, quite frankly, don't have them chops. Anyway, so Mel calls him out and says, well, you need to make sure you act like you proud of everybody. And Kimmy was like, well, is there something you're referring to? First of all, the way Kimmy asked that, I didn't even have to hear the answer first. I said, this is some fake shit. And you know, Kimmy, whatever the fuck it is she's referring to, you know what she's referring to. And you're asking that because you're hoping she'll play down for the camera. Well, she didn't, okay? And Mel was like, yeah, there is something. Like the way he tried to downplay our friendship in the interview. They know what the fuck they do. Miss me with the bullshit. All right, so they get to Tisha and Marcel. With the same goddamn thing we've been dealing with for 5 seasons. All right, even though the 4th to the 5th season might as well have been 1. But anyway. Excuse me. So people are calling Scott Manor. Well, Carlos says, well, people are calling Scott Manor Neverland. It's like the new Chateau Charest. Martell, you should have called Carlos out and be like, don't do that because her stuff is finished. It took a while, but it's great. See, that's what a real man would do. But we know you ain't no real man for the bitch ass shit that you do. Next. So anyway, Tisha, he mentions that Carlos mentions that Tisha is the majority holder in Skull. He was like, how did you do that or trick or do that? And she was like, I bought Martell out. And Carlos asked Martell, well, do you regret it? He said no. Tisha jumps in and goes, well, you should. And said that the company was in the negative when she bought it from Martell. And they got it from pennies on a dollar. And now it's worth millions. Tisha, rarely do I ever side with Martell. But honestly, yes, you should be thanking him. And I'm not saying thanking him like, oh, thank you. But I am saying that what you said and what you did was inappropriate. The key to business, honey, okay? And you're talking to somebody with degrees and masters in history and the humanities. And I am not somebody with an MBA, but I can tell you right now, the key to business and making money and studying the history of capitalism and economics is not to let people know about how you cut somebody out the deal or trick them into a worse deal and made money off of them and then do something snarky and say it like that on TV. Because it will look bad in future business endeavors and efforts when you're trying to partner with other people. You should never give away the game plan, boo-boo. You were so busy trying to be quick and shady on TV that was stupid. So now you look like a dummy, at least to me. So you showed your hand in the worst way because it's going to fuck with your pocket. Believe you me, it's going to fuck with your pocket. Because now that seems like the kind of business person you are. If you try to buy somebody out, it's only because you like undercutting them and then you going to try to put them on Front Street. That's not a good look, Tisha. It's not. The time to get bucked. Like, that's not when you try to get bucked. When you give away your business plan, dummy. All right, anyway. So there's apparently a lawsuit against Scope. I ain't know nothing about this. Because honestly, I don't look up these people outside the show. I don't. I follow Mel on Instagram. If I see, I'm like, oh, that's cute or whatever. But, excuse me. I'm not like into this. So Tisha was like, it's unfortunate. And basically Marcel was like, well, this happened during COVID. A lot of things went down during COVID. It's not unusual. Excuse me. It's not unusual that, these things like this happen in business. And so Tisha jumps in and goes, that's one of the reasons why Marcel went to Africa. Martell was like, oh, is that why he went to Africa? Is that why he took away time from home? Tisha was like, well, he wasn't at the gym. I said, well, touche, bitches. Touche. Okay? Both of y'all. Wasn't Africa in season 4? This is why I'm confused. Like, okay. We get it, Tisha. You trust your husband. Moving on. All right, so the Africa trip was a bit confusing. Like I said, I'm still associating that with season 4, but maybe it didn't happen. Maybe it happened in season 5, and I just can't. Have a reunion at the end of each season. How about that? Excuse me. Let me get some water. I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. Woo. Keep coughing. Okay. So then Carlos asked Tisha about, he basically says, well, you're smart. And you obviously are the majority shareholder in a multi-million-dollar business. But then it comes to your relationship, your marriage. And then you made a comment. And Carlos is so messy the way he tries to deflect on the people on social media. Well, they said The infamous they is the worst. Anytime you bring me information, don't talk about no they. Tell me who the fuck they is, okay? So I can go after they asses. All right. Anyway, and apparently Tisha made a statement. It said if Marcel is cheating, God will reveal it to her. Okay. So then he said, well, Carlos goes, well, Martel said he had 20 girlfriends. He said there was an alleged picture of Marcel's back. And I was listening like, okay, Carlos, that so-called evidence is not credible. Those are not revelations from God or credible revelations even from a private detective. I want you to cut it the fuck out, okay? Excuse me. That's some bullshit, ain't it? And I was just like, I just hate when people act like things are evidence that aren't. Like, just miss me. Just miss me. All right, we can go in on Tisha and Marceau for different stuff, but that's not one of them for me. Sorry, you won't get that out of me. So, they go back and forth about Marceau being with other women and how Melody had set something up that was years ago with a friend of hers who didn't know Marceau was married and may have messed around with him. And she said, well, the friend was going to come on the show, but you were going to have to pay her. And she said, well, that's up to production. And yes, Tisha definitely had a point when she was like, oh, yeah, you tried to bring her on. And she was like, well, that wasn't my fault, production. But yeah, but the association with you, Mel, okay. Like, okay. But when Mel was going back and forth with Marceau, and she just goes, I'm not going to argue with legs, hips, and breasts. When I tell you I died, I said, ouch. Because I was like, I didn't describe it like that, but I can definitely see somebody and why they would do that. Anyway, so Kimmy apparently asked the cast, he was talking about how they asked not to discuss certain things on TV. And Kimmy asked the cast not to talk about Maurice being out after 4 a.m. Pause. Kimmy, I like you. I do. I think you're a good person. I think you have been consistently, more than anybody else, reasonable. You've tried to be neutral in situations where it was not required to take a side. Because I'm one of those people. People say, oh, well, if they don't have nothing to do with me, I don't want to be in it, this, that, and the other. But I've always side-eyed people who claim to always be neutral. I'm not in it, but you still talk to both people who may be in it on a regular basis. Because to me, you play both sides. And I don't respect that shit. The Bible says be hot or be cold, not lukewarm. And so to me, I've always kind of looked at people like, there are times when you go, I'm not in it for like little stuff, but there are times when you also have to take a side. And for the most part, I have felt like Kimmy has been kind of like a neutral party appropriately, not one that I side-eyed. But Kimmy, when you asked them to talk about Maurice being out at the 4 a.m. because it's misleading, baby girl, bam. I know as a woman, it can be humiliating and embarrassing to admit that your partner has wronged you and certainly cheated on you, particularly for women. Because women have to carry the embarrassment and then men get all these excuses. So I'm not here to say how somebody should run their relationship. I'm not even here to do that because I don't believe in making women feel worse about behaviors that are not their fault. I think men should have to get called to the carpet with one another and ask, why do I engage in this behavior on a regular basis? And why do I think it's okay? When women are socialized to be ashamed, all right, when they engage in multiple sexual encounters and to be faithful to men who are not faithful to them. Okay, so I'm not even coming from that place. But where I am coming from a place of is common sense. Men out after 4 a.m. at Maurice's fucking age, not college dormitory age, they are out fucking, period. Okay? It's not because it's in Huntsville and ain't shit to do. Maybe not. Then motherfucker, watch a ball game and take your old ass to sleep. And not old, but like, old, too damn old to be out like that. How about that? Okay, for a married man. Okay? Anyway, And she was like, "What's misleading? Girl, bye. The timeline is weird. The concept was weird. It's sus, to say the least. All the stuff you was trying to explain about them having parties before you were with Maurice and not with Maurice. Like, I can't." So Carlos asked Martell and Marceau in this long scene about cheating and the possibilities of it, if they ever owned an apartment together, other than anything was sculpted, right? So Maurice jumped in and said, after they both were like, "No, we never owned an apartment. Why would we own an apartment together?" And I mean, the implication was they owned an apartment where they would take other women. Okay, I mean, the bottom line is Martell just went over to old girl's house, but anyway, or apartment, whatever the hell she was living in. Then Maurice jumped in and said, "No, y'all own Stag Run," which was apparently a comeback group ownership. So there's like 6 people's names on it. 5 to 6, depending on how Melody was feeling at the time. Maurice, sir, I think you are trying to make yourself look like you're actually honest at this reunion after Marceau told the truth about that trip to Atlanta last time and what they knew and did not know, but mostly what they knew about Martell's side chick when he was married to Mel. But it's too late, and that was whack. And you should have said it was a comeback ownership thing, because then you made it seem like it was just Martell and Marceau. That was whack. That was fucking lame, and that's your goddamn brother. You just, that's whack. Can I just say, side note, there's one thing I hate. I cannot stand that Cheshire Cat smile that Martell always has on his face whenever something is messy. I just don't understand that. I don't like men who like engage in that. Like, it just seems whack to me. Anyway, so Kiki and Miss Wanda come to the stage. God help us. Tisha, keep your family off TV. Tisha, honestly, you born. So would you get off my TV? Anyway, this was another confusing session again, because what season are we in? Y'all showing me clips of this Christmas party. This like shit just a little too blurred for me. All right, so Tisha walks off stage claiming that Kiki is Mel's puppet, and that's why she's here to say the other. So I thought she was gonna sit her ass down in her dressing room. No. Then Kiki busts in and says, "No, I've been my own puppet. This, that, and the other." And I was like, you're your own puppet? But I get you was mad, so okay. All right, girl. So Tisha came out with a prop, a puppets made of Mel and Kiki. Excuse me. One was supposed to be Mel and one was supposed to be Kiki. Mel said, "Ooh, she been around kids too long." Tisha, that shit was whack and a lazy read. And if there's anything I know, puppets take time and money to make. And that's why PBS has been able to make so much money for kids. But bitch, you're not on a kids show. And that shit was whack. All right. So Kimmy said, "Wow." Tisha still has a straight face as she does these puppets. I'm like, oh shit. Carlos goes, "Yeah, I know. She does have a straight face," which is making my job hard because I think it's funny. But like, not funny because what Tisha was doing was funny, like pathetic funny. So at least that's what I got from it. So Mel goes, "Can we please get her some kids for her for her show, her puppet show?" Oh my gosh. So Tisha, honey, baby, that was a waste of money. It makes you look like more of a fan of Mel, because we know that's who your real issue is with. Your issue is with Kiki because she's associated with Mel. Take a page out of Monique, okay, Samuel's book from Real Housewives of Potomac season 5, with the binder, with receipts, with text message copies, with phone numbers, okay, with shit we can really go, oh yeah. And Carlos King, you can take a page out of that book too, because that bullshit about 20 girlfriends and Martell being the biggest liar on his cast and one of the biggest I've ever seen in my life was not good enough. Take a page out of a real person's binder. Okay. So anyway, Carlos said that it looks like, well, Kiki, you're playing double agent. And she was like, "No, I'm just trying to be honest with both sides." So Tisha and Kiki basically give us this background. And they say they've been like sisters since they were 13. And we know they talked about on the show at some point, I can't remember which season, 4 or 5. Like their parents kind of played them against each other. It's like this competitive sort of thing. But they're like sisters, they fought all the time, but they still loved each other. So they are going through a mess. This is why family and family mess should not be on TV if you actually give a fuck about maintaining these relationships. It's not, because TV is made to entertain. It's made to appeal to the viewer, and whatever the viewer is trying to do, whether it's associated with drama, whether it's associated with a particular sort of feeling of intensity or emotion, that's what production plays into, because that's how they make their money. That's how they bring advertisers in for their money. All right. So the bottom line is, if you want to heal these relationships, put them on TV for everybody to talk about on Twitter, or enough people to talk about on Twitter. You think it's hard? This is what so many marriages, I think, break apart on reality TV. You think it's hard when just your family is giving their opinion about your significant other? You do that shit with millions of people watching who have an opinion, whether it makes no sense or not, whether it's based on bullshit or not, whether they're the kind of people that believe everything they read and see or not. That's even more pressure. And then you start thinking, well, am I stupid? That's what I mean. Just keep your fucking family off TV. Anyway, Kiki said that Tisha and Marcel have dealt with issues like basically any other couple deals with. So she goes like, and so Carlos goes like, what? And she was like rumors of infidelity. And Kiki, I gotta give it to you, was good with your words. You didn't say infidelity. You were just like rumors of infidelity. And so Tisha pops in, well, like, what rumors of infidelity? What rumors? And I wanted to go, girl, didn't we just have a conversation about the rumors of your husband's infidelity earlier on this part of the reunion? Stop playing, Tisha. You're making yourself look crazy. But anyway, that was the Marriage Huntsville reunion season 4 to 5, 4 and 5, 4 or 5. I don't know. But shout out to y'all. Y'all have a great New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. I wish you all well. Please be sure to like and subscribe as I try to go to my channel. Put what you think down in the comments. And I really do wish you all a wonderful 2023. All right.